Hey everyone, it's Maribel Blue with a new Pathetically Unfiltered. If you are new here, please take a moment and consider subscribing and hit the bell notification. That way you will get notified when I upload a new video. And if you are not new, welcome back. So considering an event that took place a few weeks ago, actually on the night of my birthday, which was very upsetting. I am trying to do things a little different with my YouTube channel. I still want to be able to talk about politics, but I think I'm going to probably touch a little bit on the topic and finish off on Substack. That doesn't even sound right, but whatever the case is, I think more detailed videos will go on Substack, and I would highly recommend, if you are interested in becoming a subscriber over on Substack, those links will be down below. I'm setting everything up because I really want to make this very engaging and interactive for people who enjoy my channel. And I am concerned for a lot of things within the political realm. I'm not sure if you heard what was going on with Brian Tyler Cohen and David Pakman being on this list of people who are disruptive and lousy and spreading lies, which Brian Tyler Cohen and David Pakman are not spreading lies. They are doing very well on their channels within the political spectrum. I respect both of them, and there are so many other people that I watch that I highly recommend and respect in watching their channels, like Don Lemon, the I've Had It podcast, the Lincoln Project. These are really, really good channels to touch upon when you're looking for the subject of politics. And I'm sure that there are other creators that I can't think off the top of my head. Oh, Kyle from Secular Talk, which I've done a lot of reactions to. I just think there's a lot of bullshit going on, and I really want to protect my channel. And within Substack, there's a little bit more of a freedom, and I'll just leave it at that. So I'm going to touch a little bit upon recent news events that have occurred, and let's get started. So I have to say, this is probably one of the more disturbing stories that I found. I actually initially found it on TikTok, but for some reason, they were blurring the dog. And that's where I thought this has to be some kind of a weird joke. But it's not a joke. It's actually on the Fox 26 Houston website. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. So on the Fox, I'm trying not to laugh, but I have to tell you, this is like super disturbing. Houston lawyer accused of bestiality involving a family dog. A Houston lawyer is facing charges following an incident that occurred in November 2025, according to court documents. And mind you, this was published on the 21st of May. So we're finding out now this shit that's going on. So this man, Stephen Swan, 56, is charged with bestiality. According to court documents, Swan, or Swain, however his name is pronounced, and at this point, he doesn't deserve the respect because that's just a sick act in my book. Swain is charged following an incident involving the family dog Shipley after Swain's wife caught the incident on surveillance cameras. I cannot even. Now, I would like to know what he was doing, because what is the story with his nose? That is just so gross. And who is he a lawyer for? I'm kind of hoping that he was like one of those private practices, because this is just disgusting. According to court documents, Swain is charged following an incident involving the family dog Shipley after Swain's wife caught the incident on surveillance cameras that she recently installed as contractor work was being done inside the home. The court documents provided very graphic details about what happened. I can't even. Oh my goodness. About what happened between Swain and Shipley. We are unable to disclose the details other than to say the incident involved licking. I'm going to throw up. The court document stated Swain's wife said she was 100% sure the person in the video was her husband and 100% sure the dog in the video was her dog, Shipley. Look at his nose. There is just something wrong with you when you do things like that to animals, involve licking, and they can't even say what it was. I mean, in my mind, and his nose, that's just gross. And then the poor dog. I mean, does the animal get traumatized behind that? I don't even know. I don't want to know. This is not why we get family pets. We get family pets because they are an addition to our family, an animal that loves us unconditionally, something that we look forward to coming home to, feeding our pets, interacting with them, laughing when they do funny things, not to use them as a sexual object. I hope he goes to jail for a long time because this is just some sick ass shit. Let's move on to something as disturbing as this. There was a girl who was kidnapped and she was able to make an escape. And NBC News on TikTok covered this. I'm going to share my screen with you right quick so that you can see the details of what happened on this clip.
A woman in handcuffs sprinting down a South Carolina road.
Hey, we got a girl over here running for her life.
Watch the woman race toward this semi-truck with a swerving car right behind her.
Seemingly that car was trying to run that person over.
The truck's driver, Anthony Moore, telling me that he was driving Friday morning in Aiken County, South Carolina, when that woman suddenly emerged from the woods.
She ran up to my truck and said, "Please help me. He's trying to kidnap me."
You can see the man here, identified by investigators as 39-year-old Jonathan Willard. According to a sheriff's office report, the victim says Willard approached her while she was out on a walk, claiming to be with the police. He placed her in handcuffs, then into the rear of his car. The victim says she believed him at first, but got suspicious when he kept asking the same questions. Eventually, Willard pulled over, according to the report, and that's when the victim made her remarkable escape, running to the road and to more. Did you for even a split second think this was a legitimate law enforcement officer?
No, sir. His face looked dirty. He was smoking a cigarette, had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Willard has since been arrested and charged with impersonating a law enforcement officer and with kidnapping after this disturbing scene caught on camera.
I cannot say how disturbing it is, feeling like you cannot go out, even just running to the store, running to Target or Walmart, wherever it is that you're going to, and minding your business, and you don't know who's lurking around watching you with not good intentions. This is part of the reason why I don't like to go out at all. I mean, I have to go out sometimes to get groceries and shit, but this is really scary. So let's get a little bit into the politics of them all. I was watching a video from a mutual friend, Johnny, not the real Johnny Bananas. He does a lot of different TikTok videos. He's on TikTok, he's on YouTube, he's on a lot of different social media outlets. And he brings upon a video where a newswoman, I believe it was on Newsmax, who was begging Donald Trump to have compassion for the American people and help them out. They're still believing about how like the tariffs brought in all of this money, which it didn't. I don't believe that people really do not understand how tariffs work. It's almost as if it has to be done as a group project. People need to make a purchase overseas, like a large purchase, not something small where it gets delivered to your house, something that needs to be delivered to the shipyard so that you can go and pick it up and find out how you are going to leave with that item without paying the tariff. You, as the buyer, have to pay the tariff. And people don't seem to understand that.
It's no doubt now that people have seen this video from News Nation of an anchor appealing to Donald Trump's kindness to the American people who voted for him. Pay attention to how honestly she implores him for help.
Mr. President, your supporters are hurting. People who voted for you 3 times, who would walk over Legos covered in hot coals to vote for you, are broke.
She says that people can't afford meat and poultry, and now sometimes they're having to buy canned chicken. She said many Americans have to go with just quietly skipping meals. But you know, at first, it was worth the high prices in order to make sure that we didn't have a nuclear Iran for our grandchildren. Even though all of Donald Trump's own intelligence says that Iran was nowhere near a nuke. In fact, they were a good 10 years away from one. But that doesn't matter because, see, the kind people who voted for Donald Trump know that he's a benevolent overlord. Yet ironically, at the end, she asks for the one thing that MAGA always say they've hated. She begs the king for a handout.
Your supporters need help, Mr. President, and they need it from you. We brought in $200 billion in tariff revenue. Couldn't some of that be shared with Americans struggling to put food on the table?
Listen to how she pleads to Donald Trump. What does it remind you of? A little bit of it reminds me of how someone would talk to a little child. Billy, now we need to be compassionate, okay? What do we say when we're on the playground? We say please and thank you. But in reality, what this sounds like is someone begging the tyrannical Mad King for a scrap of bread. Begging him to take mercy on the peasants. Your people are starving, my lord. Their cattle is sick, and their farms are dying. Please, sir, don't send the Sheriff of Nottingham to collect more taxes. It's incredibly sad that this is what the MAGA voted for. They voted for low prices, no wars, and making America great again. And now they're receiving higher prices, unaffordable food, constant multiple wars, and making China great again. I love how they still think they can plead with a madman who openly admits that he enjoys the suffering of others. And all we can say is, we fucking told you so.
I am not surprised. I'm not. I think there are people in this world who are having this supposed personal experience with Donald Trump. They think it's supposed to be like some kind of godly thing, like a godly experience. Like when they talk about how Jesus carried his own cross, like the whole persona of biblical bullshit. And you're supposed to be suffering as a result, because through your suffering, you're going to gain something tremendously big and beautiful for all of your suffering. I have to say, for me, I'm not a religious person, okay? I was once upon a time very much involved with the Catholic Church. But when I had questions about the belief system of Jesus Christ, none of my priests could really answer me, or just didn't want to answer me. They were in this space of, just go with it. And that was not me. I had questions and I wanted answers. And it came to a point where it wasn't working for me anymore. I just didn't believe in it anymore. I felt that there was something greater and more loving, and that we were not put here on this earth to suffer every damn day as a result of a God who's going to grace us with beauties and riches and all of these things. Why is it that we have billionaires? Like, I've seen people, it started with Ronald Reagan. Who knows where it started from? Maybe it did. I mean, I was a teenager, a young teenager. I couldn't even vote. But there was something about Ronald Reagan back then. I don't know if it was him, his charismatic, flamboyant. I don't know what it is. I don't know what made people think there was this Robin Hoodish kind of a person that was just going to go out and hand over their riches because they felt sorry for you. We don't live in that kind of a world. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who was looking into like this whole debt relief program kind of a thing, because they're having a hard time and struggling, and they don't like the idea of not being able to pay their bills. They were in a position where they were able to pay their bills no problem. Now they're not. And it's really bothering them. They were talking to me about it the other day. They called this national debt relief kind of a program of some sort. I don't know what it's called. And as the guy is talking to them and asking them questions and they're answering it, they ask the person, well, I'm making X amount of dollars per week and it's not going to be enough to cover what it is that you're asking for per month. Do you have any suggestions or ideas? And the guy tells them, well, the first thing you need to do is get a better paying job. And at that point, my friend hung up the phone. She wasn't going to sit there and listen to this bullshit. I mean, I know how she is. I know that she's not going to tolerate bullshit like that. It was better that she hung up on him as opposed to cursing him out, which was the next thing that was going to happen. It kind of felt like that moment when she was telling me that that creator that goes bloop and you're blocked. It was the same exact thing when she was explaining it to me. And it's this type of behavior where you have somebody on the other end of the phone saying, well, just get a better paying job and then your problems will be solved. Well, if there was an opportunity to get a better paying job, they wouldn't need these debt relief people helping them, because then they can call the credit cards and be able to work out some deal so that they can catch up in paying their cards. But it's not their fault they're in the position that they're in now. And it's not a lot of people's fault they're in the position that they're in now. However, when you're voting in someone who talks all of this good bullshit and is selling you the Brooklyn Bridge and telling you tomorrow you will be the owner of a new Brooklyn Bridge, and you get to the bridge thinking, this bridge is mine. I can do whatever I want. I can charge cars going through or even the train, whatever. I can now charge them because the bridge is mine. And you get there and guess what? The bridge is not yours. It does not belong to you, and you get escorted out. And it's the same way with these people. They actually believed that a rich man cares about them. I don't know any rich man that does. I have worked for many different companies. I have worked for rich accountants. I have worked for attorneys, but they're not giving you any more than they feel you deserve. And if you're not deserving of it, you're not going to get it. And the people who are feeling this now, I feel nothing for them because they got exactly what they voted for. So I am going to talk more on Substack about people who have purchased phones and watches and what that got them. I will leave the Substack link down below. This is Maribel Blue signing off. And with all that being said, as always, remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other. Most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.